All right, right, and we are back with Plunk. The dynamic duo is back in the building together again. How's it going?
Whoa. Hello, all.
How you
Glad to be
been?
back.
I know you've been busy. I've told people you were competing for the, the
Yeah, we
yay.
came in ninth place. That's our highest place
That's the
ever.
high showing. All right, well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, were you like that episode of Roseanne
Roseanne,
where they
we're
were
not the
just fighting
worst.
to not be last.
Yes, we're not the worst.
Right, right,
We actually did that one year because we came in second to last. The rest of the league didn't find that funny, but we found it funny
right.
because we
Hell with 'em.
started chanting, "We're not the worst."
Right. I mean, only the worst should have felt bad.
Right?
Did
Yeah,
y'all
we
make
felt
them
that.
drink beer out of a
No,
shoe?
no. And squeeze the odor eater. No.
Right, right, right. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for tuning in. This is Plunk. This is the show where we celebrate two teams in one city. That city being Chicago, and those teams being the White Sox and the Cubs. I am one of your hosts, Emilio Bucks, and joining me.
I am Kristen Pertit, your other host.
All right, all right. We've missed you, Kristen. Like people have had to just stare at this the whole time.
Stare at this.
And then I did a episode with Ruben, so they stared at this and a variation of this.
and
So
the, and a lookalike this.
look alike, yeah.
Well, I
So
am glad to be back. There's
great to
plenty of
have you.
not great baseball to talk about.
It is not great baseball to talk about. And so before before I get my blood pressure up and stuff like that, let's talk about the Cubs. What's going on the north side? Exceeding expectations, meeting expectations, even
Uh,
underachieving.
well, let's see. Since the expectation was that they were going to be bad, they're meeting them.
Okay.
But, but
Word.
they've had moments where you're like, oh, but then like Denny Green said, they are what we thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the Seiya Suzuki. I
Yes.
like him.
Yes.
So at least there's something to look forward to. I like Marcus Stroman. He had second quality start. He was great today.
Yes.
And then my father's favorite player, Ian Happ. He's been the most consistent Cub.
Young Ian, he's the guy playing with the chip on his shoulder,
Yes.
saying, "Hey, we ain't dead yet." I
And
mean,
no one really
kind of.
believes in him. Wilson Contreras is trying to be a leader, but who knows if he'll even be here after next year.
Right.
This is Jason Hayward's last year. And I like Jason Hayward, but it's passed him by now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he's I think everybody kind of likes him.
yeah, but it's
Almost
like
feels bad for him a little bit.
you almost want him at this point to go with someone who might win.
Right.
He would serve that, to come in. I don't know if he would be a starter on
Uh,
a winning team.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, he already won one, so he could.
Yeah, he could lose then.
Yeah,
But someone said he's going to be Brennan Davis's mentor, but Brennan Davis, by the time he's up here, Jason Hayward will be gone.
will
So
be gone. Yeah. Well, maybe there's a future in coaching for
maybe.
Jason Hayward. I don't know what. Do you know what's his relationship like with Rossi?
I don't know. It's probably good. I think he's good with the entire organization. Like, he
Yeah.
moved to Chicago, so he's in the city, loves the city, loves doing things in the city, and he loves being a Cub. Uh,
Hmm.
and so that might be an option.
Yeah.
He could, who's going to be able to teach anyone better outfield skills?
Absolutely.
And his
Don't
baseball
talk to him about hitting though.
Oh yeah, that's right. His baseball IQ is high as far as
Yeah.
running the bases and all that,
Yeah.
but hitting,
Yeah.
he must stay far away.
Yeah.
Stay far away from Brennan Davis when it comes to hitting. But
Yeah.
everything else, how to handle yourself,
Hmm.
professionalism, team player and all that, there's not much. There's no one really better than Jason Hayward. So that could be his career. And with other Cubs, I like David Robertson. I'm thinking
Yes.
he is going to be a trade deadline casualty. But
Uh, I thought
because
you were going to say he was going to be a part of the future.
well, see, he's 30 something and he's
Uh,
great. And as good as
yeah,
he is right now, and if he stays this way, there's going to be people. Someone might pay a premium for him. And
this is
since
true.
they're rebuilding, they have Keegan Thompson in the bullpen who's doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's a closer. No, I don't know. But I think as good as David Robertson and he's older, so they'll be able to get something for him. Right now, of the veterans on the team, he's probably, and if they gave up Marcus Stroman, those would be the ones that would give you the most money. But I think Marcus Stroman just had a birthday today, so he's still young.
Yeah, and they just signed him, so I can't.
Yeah,
I feel like he is definitely him. Seiya Suzuki are definitely in the plans
yeah.
for the future. Now, what about Hendricks?
Well, I know when we had Tim loves
He loved the
Hendricks,
professor.
and I was always not loving him that much.
On the fence with the professor,
Yes,
to say the least.
it was great what he did in the World Series and all that. That was great, but I think he's turning into more of what if you get older and you throw so light and you're not Greg Maddux, no matter how much they try to say he's Greg Maddux, like he's
Mm-hmm.
not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just everyone can hit him. And last year you saw it happening last year with all the home
Yeah.
runs. Luckily, they were usually just solo home runs, but that's not happening as much this year. And he'll have another great game, and everyone will be like, "Oh, that's the professor we
That's the
know."
professor.
Right, and this is what he does, and then you'll hear,
21-0.
yeah, right,
Because he pitched that game, right? And so
right,
it's like, oh, everybody looked great.
and then he pitches a game where they're like he gives up 6 runs, so it's gonna be like that. When he has a good game, was Shiambi, is that how you say his name? And JD, especially Shiambi, he'll go on and on about the metrics with the professor and blah blah blah. And then the next game, like, well, sometimes you just have rough games. So they love him. So
This is true.
if someone wants him at the trade deadline, he can go.
Definitely can see him being that, fourth or fifth starter on a team who's, pushing
Mm-hmm.
for contention. I mean, the Sox. I'd rather have Hendricks than Trotton
Keiko.
Dallas Kegel
Is it Keiko or
is
Kiko?
Keuchel.
Oh, okay.
I rather the professor every fifth day than Trotton. But before I get there, start going on about Dallas Keuchel. But yeah, but I think the professor. One thing I think he's good at he can eat up innings, and the way they're playing the games and the way they're rotating pitchers and operating bullpens. I think he makes somebody a good fourth or fifth guy. You know what I mean? At this point in his career, but
Yeah. So I don't think he wants to go anywhere, and there'll be a lot of people romanticizing him, but let the man go. Give him some peace. Does he? I mean, he's part of the losing problem, but does he really want to be on a rebuild? I'm shocked Marcus Stroman signed. To be honest, I'm like, were you lied to before you said, yeah, you'll sign here? And say
right.
Suzuki. I'm like, did they lie to you too? Or are they planning next year they'll start competing?
Yeah,
Because
I think they probably tried to sell them on. I mean, and they've tried to sell the fans on that competing sooner than later, like
yeah,
not admitting to a full on rebuild,
the
saying they
line.
want to be competitive in the next 2 to 3 seasons,
So
and
they must have told Strowman and Sayas people because they both wanted to come here. They must have like, this year we're just figuring some things out. We have some people that we'll be bringing up next year, and we'll sign some more free agents because we'll be hey, it's nice to see you, Debbie. And we'll be losing some contracts so we can sign some new people to fill in other roles. Because like I don't know if Schwindel and Wisdom are gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
You have Nico and
You don't
Madrigal.
believe in Frank the Tank?
And I like Frank the Tank, but he's struggling. So we'll see if he gets it together. The other guy, Rivas, has been better. But
Alfonso Rivas.
he's been doing better. So
Yes.
I hope that what I'm thinking they did to get Saya and Marcus Stroman here is true, because that I'll feel better about that. I don't want 3 years. We had this year and last year, right? So this is the second year of bad
I guess, yeah, technically last year would have counted as bad.
because
Yeah,
they sold
yeah.
everybody off.
That was the great fire sale.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I think it speaks to the north side of Chicago is a desirable place to play. For baseball players who love the culture of baseball, the idea of playing in a place like Wrigley Field, just like playing, in Boston or Yankee Stadium, like the history of it. I think they're no matter what you can sell people on playing for the Cubs. No matter what, whether they're winning or not. Um, you see how many players come and play in the city of Chicago and
mhm,
all of the sports and stay. It's a great place for family,
mhm,
and I think that becomes part of the package that they sell players
yeah,
on. You know what I mean? Or so I would believe. I know if I was looking for a good place to land, you know, uh, and you think about intangibles besides just where am I going to get a World Series. You think about where do I want to live? Like I want to sign a contract here,
mhm,
a long contract here. Is this a place where I want to stay in? And you hear nothing but great things about living in Chicago, especially if you're a millionaire.
yeah. Good areas.
I mean, for
Uh,
us, it's all right. It's all right. It's got its ups and
yeah,
downs.
exactly. Yeah, we love it and we hate it sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
exactly.
probably everyone in every city, especially
Exactly.
when things cost so much and
Exactly.
violence. But
Exactly.
yeah, and
That's
so
for the other podcast.
oh yeah, sorry. Uh,
The violence.
so it's so you're probably right. That is what they're selling people on, but they definitely have to have some other name. So right now they'll have Saya, who's just going to be a name because he's good, international
Mm.
player. You have Marcus Stroman, and you have Wilson. Maybe it depends. He's kind of looking forward to seeing what he can get and or who talks to him in free agency.
Yeah, I'm sure he's looking forward to the courting
Yeah.
process because it'll be
So
his turn.
and so if you don't have him, then you just have really Stroman and Saya are your.
Yeah.
While we in Chicago are okay with Ian Happ, it's not like players from, let's say Carlos Correa. I think he can opt out after this year or something like that. He's not like, yeah, I gotta go play with Ian Happ. No.
They said there was just like a couple of bits of language that were off that kept him from coming here.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I mean,
um,
he may want to come, but
he
I'm
may.
saying like Ian Happ's not bringing him.
No, no,
So
no,
like
no,
a
no, no.
signing of a Carlos Correa could bring other people
This is
because
true.
they need pitching.
Yes.
Your Smiley's okay. I mean, like they have okay people, like even the professors, okay.
I mean, you got a guy named you got a Miley and a Smiley.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So,
Miley's hurt, right? Yeah. Wait.
yeah,
Yeah.
Wade Miley's out,
Well,
but
you're
like,
looking
yes,
forward to
Miley's
him.
decent. What do you think of Justin Steele?
I see some potential, but I don't
Yeah,
see him the top of the rotation.
he's just a guy on a bad team.
Yes.
He's a pretty, good enough to make it in the majors on a bad team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And, maybe next year will be better. Maybe, I'm sorry, he might even get better this year. He
sure.
shows he has moments, but then, like, okay, yesterday's game, I think it was yesterday, he was hurt by errors from his teammates and himself. And then it just all snowballed. But the fact that, and I know he's young, and I know we use that for like 5 years for players that they're young.
Right.
But you know,
Mostly like the Dominican-born players because we never know how old they actually
it's like
are.
he's
But,
young.
oh, he's still
He,
young.
he
Like, he's
is
been in the league
50.
10 years, but 23, 24.
You know, that's how Starlin, like Starlin's been in, he's not in the league right now, but he was in the league so long, people didn't realize he was only like 31, 32
Right.
because he's
Yeah,
been
he
in the
was
league
a
forever.
baby when he came up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so you know, maybe that will be a learning experience for Justin. I was about to say Fields, Justin Steele. That
He's a learning experience too. But yeah.
all the Justins need to learn
Yeah.
that, you know, just because some bad things happen, you gotta gather yourself and make a pitch to get out of the inning. And
Mhm.
okay, yeah, you thought you got out of the inning, but someone made an error. Okay, you still gotta pick up your team because they're gonna pick
Mhm.
you up sometimes when you give up so many runs and they bring you back. But I guess he'll learn that. But I'm not sold on him
Yeah.
being one or two.
You know, because you look at a guy like Dylan Cease, and he kind of had that issue for a while. Like, throws the bad pitch or has the one bad hitter, and it would totally kind of take him out of his
Mm-hmm.
rhythm. And now you saw towards the end of last year, and now all of this year, he's kind of been able to keep himself composed. So I think that's a maturity thing that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I think he's got the mechanics, you know what I mean? But the mental part, I mean, you
Yeah.
can't say enough about how much of, you know, anything is mental, you know what I
Right.
mean? And
Yeah.
you just hope these guys can develop properly and
Mm-hmm.
be of good use. But yeah, when the Cubs are ready to compete again, I don't imagine this team will look much like what it looks like now.
No.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and you know, for a good thing for the good thing for anyone who is still having to develop, there's no pressure right now because it's okay to be bad.
it's okay. Yeah,
Unfortunately, it's okay for you to
unfortunately.
be bad. So
But it's
take
not
that.
okay to us, but
No,
it's
it's not. But
okay.
for the talent evaluators, okay, you were
Yeah,
bad. Let's see how you bounce back. So they always have
exactly.
that chance to bounce back, and not as much fear of being pulled. Now, I don't know how much David Ross likes losing. So, you know, he got a contract extension. And I firmly believe while he's here to develop talent, I got to believe he was also told the same thing as the other people. Like, okay, you're used to winning, David Ross. You're used to winning. You're used to fun teams because the players are good. It's always fun when you're winning and you have good
Always,
players.
always fun
Like
when you're
even when the
winning.
Cubs win, as they're not considered a good team, but when they win, they're all smiling, they're all happy. So I have
That's
to
what you
think,
sell people on. Like
yeah,
when you fly the W in
yeah,
Wrigley, you know,
yeah.
like yeah, yeah,
So I have to believe David Ross also believes that next year, not saying they're winning or anything, but they'll be competitive. And
right,
there'll be an expectation that you're supposed to win. Not saying you're definitely going to the playoffs, but there's an expectation that you'll be over 500 next year.
correct. And how do you feel about that expectation?
I don't. I must see it next year. I must
Yeah,
see. You know, it was at the beginning of this year. I was down. I've been down on them, but then they were doing all right. I said, well, I'm going to enjoy this ride, and then the ride went bad, and I was like, oh, I can't enjoy this
they're
ride.
like, man, I threw up. And then,
Right. I was like, this is not the ride for
and
me.
then I like the other part. And then,
So I can't keep doing it's okay, you're bad, you're learning. I need some people who know and good teams. Like I need to see the excitement of 2015. You know, they were a surprise team, but
yeah,
they were good. Not saying you have to go as far as they did, but they were good and exciting, and they were young.
and you felt
Um,
it. You knew, like, okay,
yes, you knew
this is
something was
this
coming.
team
Kind of
is
like watching the Sox.
yeah,
You know something's coming. It still may take a time, but you know it's coming.
but you
Right
know it's
now, looking
coming.
at this team, I don't know it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the Cubs are at that point yet where you're like, okay, like pieces are in place.
Hmm.
Like you can see like a Seiya Suzuki as like
Yeah.
definite piece in place.
Hmm.
I mean, you could look at a Marcus Stroman and say
Right.
piece in place, but like you said earlier, I think they would be the only two I would count on as
Yeah.
far as being pieces for the future. As far as Wilson goes, like Wilson just doesn't seem like he's not an alpha like that. He's you can't mistake being an alpha for being fiery.
Fire, yeah, and that's what he's very
And he's
fire.
fiery, but I
Yeah.
don't think he's a leader necessarily.
Yeah. He's trying to become one, he says.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like you either kind of have that thing about you or you don't. I mean, you can learn to become a good leader and a better leader, but I'm just not so sure that he's a guy who's going to get the attention and even the
Maybe
respect
with
of the
the
clubhouse. But
maybe with the Latin players,
yeah,
he might have them, but I mean,
well,
he
he's
have
got
they
he's
have
got
a lot of non-Latin players on the Cubs. Remember what
I,
Harry Carey said years ago?
he said you got to get the Latin players.
Hey, you know the problem, Steve? It's too many guys. You don't have
He's
any
right.
black guys. You don't have any Latin
He's
guys.
right. But and that was years ago, obviously
Years
with Harry
ago.
Carey, but he knew, he saw it like
Yeah,
these are the guys,
yeah.
like
He's like,
especially the Latin ball players,
right. He was like,
like
he said it on air. And
hey,
then Steve was like, well, Harry,
who can say that
well,
except Harry?
right,
Or Hawk would say it. But
right,
Hawk would sound
exactly.
probably a little bit more racist.
Yes.
I'm not so
See,
sure
if
about
Hawk
Hawk.
said it, then it was like, oh, we're canceling Hawk. Harry
Yeah.
was like, oh, Harry.
Yeah. I mean, you got Michael Hermosillo.
Yes, and
eh,
he's from here, and he grew up being a Cubs fan.
So that's good.
Yeah.
That's he's and well, Alfonso Rivas, he's been swinging a good bat. Nico can't stay healthy, but we kind of knew that, right?
Yeah, well, he's all right now.
He's all right now,
He's
right?
actually, what is he? He's in the top 3 in the average.
Okay,
Yeah, he's been, let's see, he's top 3 in hits. And I think that's it. Seiya is top 3 in every offensive category, including strikeouts.
that's your best player,
Yeah,
in spite of the strikeouts.
right. Because everything else overcomes our leader in strikeouts with 29. I mean, and Seiya has 24, so he's right behind him. And that's before today's game, so it might even be more.
Now, who's the leader
Wisdom,
in strikeouts?
wisdom, of
Okay,
course.
okay,
He struck out. It's sometimes it's like a all or nothing with him.
yeah.
He has, I think he has more. I think did he homer? I think he homered today, so he has like 4. I think he's tied with Seiya.
Trying too
Um,
hard, maybe.
but
Well, Marcus Stroman looked really good today.
he
7 innings
did,
pitched.
yeah.
You
On
know,
his birthday, he did very well.
yeah. This is definitely. I feel like this is might be like the best outing that I've seen him have this year,
Yep.
and
And,
against the very a serious Milwaukee team. So
mhm.
like that's got to be a good confidence builder for him, and hopefully he can take that into his next start.
Especially the way Milwaukee was beating them before. I mean, I know the Cubs got the best of Milwaukee the first series.
Early,
Yeah.
it's so funny how the Cubs and the Sox, they've kind of mirrored each other. Like they got off to hot starts, and now they're at the point where you're just hoping they don't get swept.
Yes.
Yeah, they're both pulling out that one game to keep from getting swept.
Right. Right.
And last week the Sox weren't pulling out the one game; they were just getting swept. So
Yeah, so we might as well move on to them, huh?
yeah. So against doctor's orders,
I know you've been trying hard.
I'm here to talk about the White Sox and their current offensive struggles. Batting 212 as a team on the year, and that 212 is like a nice like that's not even, I don't think that's quite indicative of how bad they've been
Hmm.
offensively. Since that like and Tim is hitting at like 333, so I think that makes up for a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Then of course one of the only other guys hitting Andrew Vaughn is taking his turn
Mm.
on the injured
I was
list.
about to say he's injured. It's rough. That
Yeah.
starting that spring training late.
I mean, and he got hit in the hand.
And that's right. That's right. Hitting the
So
hand.
it was kind of like a not of in shape, out of shape
That's
thing.
true.
Like
So
you
did
could
they put him on the IL? I thought he was available to pinch hit today.
I think it's just like they
Day
just
to
sat
day
him to
type.
rest, yeah, day to
Okay.
day type of thing. So there's nothing like serious like
Okay.
Eloy or anything like that. But
Eloy.
I don't know, it just seems like somebody put out some handbook on how to pitch to the Sox, and everybody has it except the Sox. Like I'm not my concern is okay, last week and a little bit of the week before, oh, that was the slide. They're on a slide. But now you compound that with this week where they've, lost both series, managed to pull one game out of each series to keep from getting swept. But it's starting to feel concerning more than a slide, more like a team that's like a poor offensive team. And I mentioned this last week. There's a difference between a bad team and a team that's playing bad.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I still feel like this is a good team that's playing bad. But the longer it goes, and then I don't see any adjustments made mechanically for the hitters, and I'd like to know like the job of the hitting coach and how accountable he's held when
Mm-hmm.
they're not hitting for now 3 weeks straight now. Um it's because and then you can, for every bad thing I can say, you can always revert to the injury bug.
Right.
you know
But there's still enough. There's still enough there, even with the injuries. There
this
should
is
be,
true.
right?
There it should be. I mean, Luis Roberts still only hitting 211, slugging at 366. Like that's
Yeah,
still
that's not.
below
Yeah.
his average. Now he missed a little time, but I don't think the time that he missed, that doesn't even at all play into his lack of productivity right now.
Hmm. So
Um, Go ahead.
you're thinking, hopefully, with him and Abreu, probably maybe with the weather change.
Abreu definitely.
Because
Abreu's
that's
the
what
guy
always
who always kind of like heats up when it heats up.
happens. Okay.
You know what I mean? And so like yeah, right now I'm hoping that the weather I don't not affecting the people we're playing.
That is true.
You know, like Cleveland put up 11 and like well it was cold in Cleveland.
That's
They
true.
was hitting the hell out of the ball.
That is true. Whenever we use that excuse, like, it was
Well, the
warm enough for the
weather.
other team.
Like, well, the other team playing fine in the weather. And then we're talking about people in the division. We're talking about Minnesota. Like, when we had the 80-degree day here, it was the Sox were in Minnesota playing in 40-degree weather. So,
Oh,
but
yeah.
Minnesota still swept us. So, like, they're
And
doing
it's
all
a
right.
division of cold places, so
Right,
no
right. So it's like,
excuse.
well, so it's just us, huh? What? Too many Latins? Like, come on.
So now it's the opposite over
Now it's
here.
the opposite. Well, Latin players, they're not used to playing in the cold. You know,
Then you
I
should have
don't
never
know.
signed
I
with
don't
a
know.
Midwest team or even an East Coast team. It's
But
only
hey,
warm west and south, and
our,
it's cool those places.
yeah, I mean, I think is global cooling. Is that a thing? I don't
Seems
know.
like it because it's gonna be cool all week.
Yes, yes, it is. So, um, concerning, disappointing thus far. The pitching let's talk about the pitching. Giolito has pitched well, not outstanding, but has pitched well. You know, he had a little stint on IL, but got a 2.57 ERA, which not bad, not bad. We're gonna need it to lower, of course, and hopefully with some better weather. I'm just hoping for I'm just hoping for the weather. Yeah, the weather. It gets warm. It's on. Pitches ain't hitting. I think the great story. There's two great stories. Well, there's one really good story, kind of an expected story, and that is Dylan Cease's step forward. He took that step forward.
He definitely did.
You know what I mean? And that's what you wanted to see. Like, okay, you saw the shades last year of the moments, you saw the struggles, but you learned about his meditation routine, and you kind of got to know him a little bit, and you really can see he took the step forward. Maybe the mustache has something to do
I was
with
getting
it.
ready to say it's a mustache.
He's pulling from that great Oakland A's history of mustached pitchers, perhaps. The really great story, and still shrouded in mystery, is Michael Kopech. Pitched a career high 94 pitches the other day.
That's crazy. They just finally.
That's crazy. That's crazy, right? For somebody who was always slated to be a starting pitcher, like he's just hit 94 for the first time. He's been here since 2018. So I don't know. But that's the mystery. That's the shrouded in mystery. But he's still, killing. He's got a 1.42 ERA right now. Arguably the best pitcher in this rotation. I'm still gonna take Dylan Cease over Kopech right now, but arguably, like statistically, as far as the starting rotation, Michael Kopech is doing well. And now, Velasquez is doing what he was expected to do. He was expected to be the fourth, fifth guy. And this is with Lance Lynn playing, pitching.
Okay.
And so, he struggles at times, but he kicked ass yesterday against a very powerful Angels team.
Yeah, he did.
Sat Mike Trout down 2 or 3 times.
Didn't he strike out him and Ohtani?
Yes, he did. And Mike Trout came back with a vengeance today. But
he's like Michael. He took that personally.
He did. Like, I say I took that personally. Came back with a vengeance today, but Velasquez is still very much doing his job. Now, on to the fifth starter. You can't every fifth game prance Dallas Keuchel out there onto your mound and still say that you are trying to compete for a World Series.
Yeah.
You cannot continue to keep trying to sell this.
Yeah. What happened to him?
What's that?
What happened to him?
I don't
tipping
know.
His pitches? Did he lose velocity? All that?
He got the longest case of dead arm we've ever seen. Like, he comes in to the season with dead arm. Like, it's just game one. You got dead arm already.
Game one.
Yeah, I mean,
he needs a phantom IL trip.
Yeah, like Jake Arrieta last year. Give him a phantom IL trip, bring him back, and then you cannot keep bringing him out here and say that you're a good team who plans on being in the postseason. because it's not going to happen with the experiment is over. You thought maybe last year was an off year and this year was going to be the year he kept. No, you can't keep parading him out there. You know, just stop it. Stop putting Lowry's seasoning salt on dog shit and telling me it's prime rib.
Wow.
Because it ain't. It's dog shit with orange salt on
Orange
it. And I've had it with Dallas Keuchel.
Is it because other pitchers are out? Why do they? Maybe this will be the last time Dallas Keuchel
I
comes out.
don't know. What more do they need to see at this point?
He's
You
not even better
know,
than the other team's fifth starter, huh?
I mean, I'd rather see you start Ronaldo Lopez.
Yeah.
He's going to give you more than Dallas Keuchel will at this point. You know he is.
Yeah.
He's going to get, even if you just get Lopez in there for 3 innings, make it a bullpen day or whatever. Like, you
do
can't keep
that
sending
opener and
Keuchel out
closer.
there. You can't keep doing this,
Maybe he
especially
needs to
right
go
now.
in as your long.
What's that?
Maybe he needs to go in there as your long reliever, or just are you saying get rid of him?
I want to designate him for an assignment.
I think Dan Bernstein from The Score, I think he said the same thing.
Yeah. I mean,
it might be time.
He's getting rocked first inning, second inning. Like, where does he fit? I can't even see where he fits bringing him in the bullpen. I know he's getting paid an absorbent amount of money. And so I know that's why, I guess,
you can't keep losing every 5 games.
You can't keep guaranteed L, especially the way they're playing now.
Yeah.
Because, you got guys out there pitching gems. Kopech pitched a gem last week and still lost because there's no offense.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Maybe last year you were able to cover some of it up with better offense, but right now
you did, and you were able to cover it up with a healthy Lance Lynn and Carlos Rodon, who was pitching really well the first half of the season, and now everything. Every problem is just more glaring now when you're losing games.
Yeah.
Sox had it was a ridiculous amount of errors.
Oh, that one game.
21 errors over a 7-game span.
Jeez.
That's like errors, and I mentioned this last week. That's a big deal. That's why they keep it in the box score. How big of a deal errors are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? This is just
unearned runs you give up.
runs that you're giving up.
Flipping lineups.
Awful. And now I've seen improvement over this last week. Only 2 errors in the last 6 games, which for what I saw the previous week, 21 in 7 games now, 2 in this last 6. Okay. Maybe you're shoring that up a little bit. But everything is just so costly. The bullpen, I love this bullpen. Kendall Graveman, we got to see him up close last year against Houston, and he damaged us. And it's nice to see him, with our jersey on. He's been great. Aaron Bummer's had some struggles, but Tanner Banks, he gave up 2 today, but overall has been really good. Only gave up in 7 appearances. Before today, he had 7 appearances, only given up 3 hits. So I can't say enough about this bullpen. Even the starting pitcher, even with Keuchel in it, has not been bad considering Lance Lynn has been gone. Yeah.
No, that is what you were saying.
So
is the biggest problem in your eyes is the offense?
Oh, it's most definitely. Most definitely the offense, and I don't know what's going on. I know, uh, I mean, no Johan Moncada. I don't. Very mysterious. Has he began his AAA
Yes,
assignment yet?
he
I
did.
think he has. Yeah.
I think he had a hit or a couple of hits.
And Joe Kelly, I think, also started his AAA.
Yes.
I went over the
Hmm.
pitching now, but I think he also started his AAA assignment. AJ Pollock has shown some flashes of playing, some decent bat.
Oh no, he's back. He was
He's
hurt.
bat.
Right.
Running to first
What
base
is this
has
thing right? What is with running
been
to first base with the team?
very problematic.
Stop trying to beat it up.
Hey, I'm saying.
Just get there.
Oh, and they gave Ozzie Jr. a lot of shit on Twitter because when Eloy got hurt running it out at first
Mhm.
base, he mentioned, yeah, he caught a lot of flack for not running it out the night before. And so,
Um,
yeah, he's giving it a little extra push. And it's like, nah, and people gave him a lot of crap for saying, like, oh, of course you're supposed to run it out. It's like, not really. You know,
I mean,
I mean,
I think if it were playoff game and you gotta beat it out because they need you on, you're like one of the last hopes for getting on.
right.
You might push it more, but you see
It's
what
like Jake Taylor from Major League when he pushed it and
there we
fell.
go. We
It's
bring
just
everything
like
back.
Eloy.
Exactly. So I mean, and then you have to be careful with injury prone people
Yeah.
like
Like we
Robert
seen Eloy,
Eloy.
he's a phenomenal talent, but maybe he doesn't have it all up here all of the time. Let's be honest.
He's
He's
funny.
like kind of a big kid
He
almost.
is. That's how I was like. He's a funny guy.
He's fun. He's like a big kid.
He likes to play around.
Yeah. So like you just got to understand who your guys are. Know your personnel, like Stacey
Yeah.
King always
I
says.
mean,
Like,
Pollock, he's injury prone.
yeah, yeah. So like he hurt himself rounding first. Like,
Right. That's so. Just get to first. I don't need you to
I don't need
go
you
into an
to.
extra gear.
I don't know.
I just need
No,
you to
no,
get
no, no,
there
especially
and
for my big guys. Like, you
yeah.
know, these aren't small, slim track guys. These are
Right.
big guys. Elo's a big dude. Luis Roberts a big dude.
Yeah.
Like,
And you know how we always talk about while athletes are stronger, faster than ever before, they're also wound so tight that it's so easy for them to snap stuff
they
and
get hurt a
break
lot
stuff.
more,
Yes.
way more serious injuries now than
Yes.
before.
And they're so wound up tight. The
Yeah.
muscles are so tight
Yeah.
and formed. And I know I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but this is just from observation.
But you can just see from watching the game.
All those strong people, if they overexert themselves trying to
Mhm.
beat the play at first,
Skinny
they
baseball players,
yeah. And fat.
skinny basketball players.
Yeah.
That's what it used to be,
Yeah, or fat.
or mostly fat
Chunky.
pitchers,
Yeah, fat.
chunky pitchers and catchers,
They have some yeah, and
and
sometimes
first baseman.
yeah, first basemen are usually chunky.
You little chunky.
Little meat on you, not so lean.
Yeah,
But I guess all the people are saying you got to get lean, but you're ripping muscles.
yeah, yeah. So I think it's a matter of it's a base running thing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to go 100 miles, 100% every time down the first base line. I'm sorry, I just don't believe that you need to do that every time. But then I think that comes into coaching. Like, I think that first base coach needs to be more involved in like letting that runner know when it's like, okay, look, just pump the brakes, trot your ass down here, and then take the field afterwards or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, somebody should have been telling Eloy, like, just wait, slow
Especially
down.
Eloy and
Especially
Robert.
Eloy.
You missed them so long last year. They're probably a little they may not even be all the way healed, and they may not even be in the best of shape just yet either, since some people did stuff while the lockout was happening, some people didn't.
I kind of doubt Eloy did much.
Yeah, so
Practices, one Facebook user says practices are too soft now. It's like that's in all sports other than hockey. Like, and which I can agree with, because they negotiate these things now, and in the collective bargaining agreements and whatnot. Like, oh, hold on, practice is too hard.
mm-hmm.
And so, like, oh, we only gonna wear pads. We ain't wearing pads. And I think that's very true.
Yeah, and then like those, they negotiated it in because they're like, well, we work out all off season. That might be part of your problem. You're working
Yeah.
out too much. We're not
And
saying
not all of you are working out all off season
no,
too.
you're not, because I mean James Harden, I
Right.
don't think he sees a gym in the off season. He comes to training camp fat every year
Yes,
and
every
stays
year.
fat throughout the season because he's
Yeah.
always eating wings at a strip club.
Yeah, man. You talk about a guy who's just so much talent, but just gives no F's.
At all. Zero.
Gives no F's about really his team really
No,
winning.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Facebook user says when you're not running the bases in practice a lot, then you can really hurt yourself. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Like, who's their strength and conditioning coach or coordinator?
And maybe they haven't learned how to properly run to first base. Some players still hit the bag wrong. They
And
do
that's
like
exactly
a
what Eloy
stretch,
did.
and he hit the bag
He
wrong.
hit the bag wrong.
Yeah, so you're right, Facebook user, that they may not be learning the proper, or they've learned it and they're not retaining it. I'm not always going to say that coaches aren't teaching it. Some people just don't retain
Some people just don't retain
information
or give
or
F's,
care.
like James Harden looks like.
Right.
His first time at McDonald's. He does. He's like James Harden's getting fat off of cheap food. You know what I mean? That's what he looks like. He's not getting fat off of like,
He's
like
lemon
the
pepper
best
wings.
cognac and
Right, yeah.
steaks. He's eating wings in like 2 a.m. Big Macs. Like, ew. Like,
White Castles.
White Castles.
Whatever's open after the strip club.
Like, he's really smelly in the bathroom.
Yeah. I just would not play with Eloy and Robert are so important to the team. How long? Okay, how long? I know Jose Abreu usually gets good when the weather gets good.
Yes.
What if he doesn't? How long do you ride with him? Because I know how important he is to the mentoring of the other players. But how long will you roll with him? Let's say if he's hitting like this into June.
Well, I think it becomes about what are your other options, and it's about like, well, where does Gavin Sheets fit in?
Okay, he's the other first baseman, right?
Yeah, is he playing at a high enough clip where it's like,
yeah.
I mean, Gavin Sheets right now is hitting 235 versus Jose's 219, so
it's not that big. Huh?
So it's not really, he's not taking
right
Jose's job. And right now, I think if there's somebody to take his job, then you consider it. But right now, I think just because of the intangibles and nobody there who's taking his job, like, I think you roll with him, and then you kind of wait it out to see how the weather treats things.
Mm-hmm.
Here I go again, like hoping for the weather.
Now, has Tim Anderson always had? I know he's improved, but his string of errors, it was a little troubling. Is this always like this in the beginning of the year for him?
No. He necessarily isn't a Gold Glover per se, but what I saw early on, I would still say is uncharacteristic of Tim. You know what I mean? He's not a Javi Baez glove,
Mhm.
but it was still very uncharacteristic. And whenever I see stuff like that, like in baseball, a lot of fielding errors, I tend to look at the manager and like, okay, there's a lack of discipline here. Just like in football, when it's like, oh, they're jumping off sides all the time. I feel like,
Robert Quinn.
right. I feel like there's a discipline issue here going on. Like you're not practicing that part of it enough. You know what I mean? You're just relying on your talent versus the game situation, having that muscle memory of making that play. Like, my God, you got to catch the ball. You got to throw the ball well, especially when you're struggling offensively. Like,
Yeah.
Tim's not struggling offensively, but, his glove hurting us hurt that much more when the rest of the team is struggling.
Mhm.
So, again, it's been nice this last week where they've definitely picked it, they've improved offensively.
All right. Well, Tuesday they have one more against the Angels, and then it's the Crosstown Classic at Wrigley.
This is what it's all about.
It's the battle of the cold teams.
The battle of the busters.
And right now,
Right now, what does this even mean? Does it mean anything to Sox or Cubs fans?
it shouldn't. I mean, one team. Sorry, it was a fruit fly. One team. I know people are like, "What is he doing?"
Damn fruit flies.
Go to bed. One
Tell them
team.
fruit flies to go to bed. It's late. Start doing up.
It's too late for you to be up.
I cleaned up.
Right? I have no fruit out right now.
Right.
Got my garbage. One team's supposed to be doing well, and the other team not so much. So I think this will actually mean more for Cubs fans because we have nothing else. You
And
remember
it
how
was good
when the
bragging
Cubs,
rights to beat the Sox, who were supposed to be good.
yes, that's how it used to be. Remember during that stretch when the Cubs were really good.
Yeah.
And when the White Sox would beat them, it was like, oh Lord, it was like real serious time for the Sox because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
weren't to that level.
Real pitiful.
Yeah, so that's what it's gonna be for Cubs because Cubs are supposed to be bad and are, and the Sox are supposed to be good and will be eventually. So
I
this,
think for the sake of the city, the Cubs need to lay down and let the Sox get these two. We need
you guys never laid down for the Cubs. The Sox played their hardest, boy.
They sure did.
If Dallas Keuchel were to pitch against the Cubs, he would be like a Cy Young winner.
That's why I was always look. The Sox have played their hearts out since this game didn't matter, since it was the Crosstown Classic back
Yes.
when 70-year-old Carlton Fisk was catching 9 innings just trying to beat the Cubs.
Right. So this year is going to be, Cubs and Sox fans, of course, because they just want to have bragging rights. But I think overall for the Cubs, even players, it's going to be more important than them. Sox just want to get back on winning series.
Yeah.
So it has more to do with their standing and getting into the playoffs and World Series. Cubs just
It matters more.
Yeah.
Like in the Sox, they were horrific on the road. I thought getting some home cooking. I mean, coming home after a terrible road trip to the lowly Royals, that was prime time to eat, and they didn't. Like, they're very disappointing. The Sox wound up losing 2 of 3 to those, 2 errors. And Keiko actually pitched good one of those games, and you still
take advantage of that.
lost. You had to, when Keiko gets the. Hey, T. Nick always said everybody has a birthday, and even Dallas Keiko has a birthday. And damn, when you can't take advantage of a Dallas Keiko good outing, like there's something seriously wrong. And my concern is like, all right, well, where's the fix? Where's the adjustment being made? Where's the change in mechanics? Nobody has tried to change their swing. Nobody's changed their approach. Tony's still going with the same lineup. Like Tim is hitting, he's getting leadoff home runs, but he's not getting any RBIs because he's
He's
batting
just
number one. So when do you slide him down to 2 or 3 so he can, you know what I mean, to help your team?
well,
Like, why keep
who gets
beating the
on
dead
base?
horse?
Who gets on base though? So who could be your leadoff and second hitter to get on base for him?
I right now, and I know this sounds crazy based on what they're doing. I mean, right now I'm starting Danny Mendick over Larry Garcia.
What? You don't like Leary?
Oh, Larry, that's my little man. You know that. But
You know, if you're still looking for a second baseman, there is one out there who finished his suspension.
oh,
Starling's out there.
he is out there.
And he has over 1,700 hits.
Yeah,
And nothing else, he's gonna get you some hits.
he's gonna get on base.
Yes, he is.
And
He
that's what
is.
we need. We need some base runners because right now I need Tim in the 2 or 3 hole. Like we need more runs.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like a solo home run from Tim isn't doing us a lot of good.
Yeah, no, it's not.
You know, and so
Danny Mendick gets on base.
Danny Mendick. I mean, hitting as far as just guys hitting for a. There's not much. There's not much as far as guys who's getting on base. I mean, Pollock is getting on base. You know, hell, even Jake Berger is doing decent, getting on base. Now, and I know, well, wow, is that who you got at leadoff? I mean, hell, Tony put Leary at number 2, so why
Wasn't
not?
he the third hitter? Didn't he? And didn't he get some hits?
It had him at the 3 spot 2 games, and then at the 2 the next.
Well,
I mean,
Jose
he
Abreu is second on base percentage.
well, then you are right. He is. So you're not gonna get a lot of speed with Pito, but
that is a problem.
But again,
it's definitely gonna be the station while he's on.
Definitely gonna be a lot of force outs.
And so now you're asking Tim Anderson to hustle down to first base.
Damn.
So setting up problems.
All right. Well,
if he is going to move down, he's going to need some people with speed because no one needs to be hustling down to first base anymore right now. Wait till it gets warm.
As far as speed, Adam Engel is one of the more.
He has speed, Adam Engel.
Yeah, Adam Engel is one of the more speedy guys on this team. But it's you need your big guys hitting. You know what I mean? And I would look for a Moncada maybe leading off or in the 2 hole when he gets back, assuming he gets back and he's back at form. You could only hope. And Vaughn, before Vaughn sat down, like he's somebody who I would have considered at the leadoff just because you could be utilizing Tim for more than like watching him just be stranded on first and second constantly is or solo home run. It's kind of like we could be doing more with that.
That is true because with he's gonna hit the ball.
Yeah, he is. Like Tim's gonna hit that ball, and he does.
Debbie's feeling good about herself because her team is tied for the best record in the National League.
Smoking.
And they're right up there
smoking
with the Yankees. Boy, it's like it's finally they have what Chicago wants. Both teams good
at the same time,
going crazy because they're both good at the same time.
At the same time, it's been rare.
Yes, it has.
It's been rare, but hey, I'll enjoy it while it lasts. That's right, absolutely.
yeah.
Because
I enjoyed the first 3 games of the Cubs season.
Because they look good. They look all right. It's and again, okay. So we're gonna say the weather. We're waiting on the weather, and we got to remember we're barely 20 some games
Yeah,
into the season,
it's still early.
and there's still a lot of meaningful baseball to
Yeah.
be played. There's more meaningful baseball to be played to come,
Mm-hmm.
because they are the boys of summer. So, and summer has not come yet.
They're 4.5 out right now to Minnesota.
Yeah.
A game and a half out of second.
Yeah, that's pitiful. Goddamn Minnesota
Hey,
Piranhas.
your piranhas. They're trying to come back. They were making
Piranha.
moves this off season.
They were.
That's something.
And
Do we
that
ever really get to talk
goddamn Byron Buxton, boy.
about? Do you feel as though the Sox made enough moves this off season
No.
for this to be this for everyone feeling this was the year?
No.
I didn't think so either.
I don't think they did. I don't think they got enough starting pitching.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
They went into this season knowing that Dallas Keuchel was their
Yeah.
number 4 or 5 starter. Like, you can't, maybe they were hoping for like a bounce back year, but
Well, good thing is the trading deadline. There's gonna be some good pitcher on a team that, like, Oakland will still be selling off. There's gonna be some teams still selling off.
yeah.
So you can pick up Kyle
I,
Hendricks.
I think the whole strike thing really messed some stuff up too.
Yeah,
The whole courting process wasn't what it usually is
that's true.
because you know what I mean. And it kind of was like this mad rush to get
Yeah,
deals done. You know, um,
yeah, because some
and,
people.
and unlike the Cubs, the Sox organization, I think, even winning, have to sell players a little bit more than the Cubs organization does, just for whatever reason. I really think they do. There's a rumor floating out there that DeGrom might leave.
Oh my gee, I hope it's just a rumor. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
there's gonna be a whole bunch of teams out there trying to grab him if he
yeah,
does leave.
yeah, absolutely.
Won't be the
And
Cubs because they won't be close enough to winning. DeGrom wouldn't come here like, I'm not getting ready the
yeah,
rest of
yeah,
my.
yeah.
I'm
Wait,
not wasting.
what I got left.
Yeah, see, that's going to be their problem. You know how you say, like, hitters will come. Pitchers aren't
Hitters
getting
will
ready to
come.
waste their arm
No,
bad. That's why I
hitters.
feel as though they had to really have promised Marcus Stroman. I don't know if he has an opt out. I'll have to look. But
Yeah,
like, you can't waste your arm.
yeah. What was it? How did they trick him?
They had to.
He was like,
No one else.
"Oh, the Cubs. I thought it was the Sox."
Right,
You
because
just kept saying Chicago. You never said you were from the Cubs.
because I don't think he's won a championship. I know somebody else needed him, and nothing else. He was going to be your number 5, your 3, 4, 5 starter or whatever.
Hey, we could have used them over
Yeah, so
Chicago.
they have. We'll never know because no one's ever going to tell us
McConn, that
until he
man.
leaves. Right, until he leaves, then you'll hear all the dirt.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Or when or if they don't start getting better next year,
yeah,
and he becomes like disgruntled,
yes,
then you'll start hearing like,
yeah.
"They told me this."
Like, I want to be traded because you lied to me, and I'm
Right? They
like,
told me there was strippers during the 7th inning stretch.
I'm like,
What?
Marcus, I want to be traded too because they lied to me as a fan.
Yeah. I've been wanting to get traded to the Yankees or the Red Sox or something as a
Or the
fan.
Dodgers, who
Or
are
the
just gonna
Dodgers.
keep on spending.
Yeah.
Mm.
You think Deb says you think Stroman will like to stay with the Mets and play in his hometown, but no, hey,
He must
Deb,
not have given him enough money.
money talks, and he traded in one set of blue pinstripes for another, like and just a little bit more.
Yeah, but he's probably looking back, looking at the struggles here and looking over there. He's like, damn, I made the wrong
Damn
move.
it! Like, what did I do?
Like, oh, seems like, so can you trade me back?
Can we have a redo?
Right. I didn't mean it. Mets. I didn't mean Mets fans. But I mean,
Well, really
yes.
quick, I wanna throw this out there for all of our Plunk fans who are watching um, via our YouTube feed, the Chicago Clubhouse YouTube feed. Please subscribe. Just click that little button at the bottom. It helps us out greatly, trying to get more reputable and all of that. And thanks to everybody for watching. So I think about that time to wrap it up. And if anybody is interested in some music, starting a little bit after this broadcast ends, I will be broadcasting Cracklejack, the new Blue Eyed Soul edition. So if you're into that. So Kristen, any final thoughts? What is your prediction on the next series with the Cubbies?
Let's see. We have Drew Smiley and Kyle Hendricks. They have not announced the Sox starters. A sweep for the Sox.
Ooh, sweep, huh?
Yeah.
I like your thinking, Lincoln.
A 2-game sweep.
I'm hoping for that. It could be a 2-game sweep for Chicago.
No.
That's what
So
I'm
either
saying.
way,
That's what I'm saying.
a 2-game sweep
I'm
for
predicting it.
Chicago.
I'm predicting a 2-game sweep for Chicago.
Somebody's all
Chicago.
right. 2-game sweep
Chicago's
for
gonna
Chicago.
win.
And I got a 2-game sweep for the Sox.
All right. Well, you're being very generous. You're being very nice. That's just because you're just so disgusted by your team. So, and I'm equally disgusted.
I
But I
hope
do
I'm
think it's
wrong.
going to be a competitive series.
Yeah.
Both teams are playing at
I
pretty much
just
an
wish it
even
were
clip.
warm. It's gonna be cold and it might rain, so
Yeah, I
that
mean, it's
that dampens
disgusting.
the excitement.
It totally does. It totally does.
Like at least can you at least have sun when it's 54? And then if 54 here, it means it's only gonna be 40 there.
Up there, yeah, up
Whew.
by the lake.
Yes. It's
Well, with that
miserable.
being said, thanks
All
to
right.
everybody for tuning in. Thank you for our number one fan, Deb, always
Always.
viewing from New York City. Um, and until next week, Kristen,
Go Cubs. Bye.
go Sox, go Chicago. Good night.
Good night.